Here's the video walkthrough of car 195. So, well, I'll let you read all the notes, but I'll just kind of move the camera around so you can see at least the body, and then I'll start the engine up for you. I added bumper screens down below to protect the radiator, and one for the oil cooler as well, which is a new oil cooler, new lines by the way. You can probably see the car has been painted at some point. I didn't paint it myself. The previous owner or must have done that along the way. There's practically zero rust throughout the car, even underneath it. It's incredibly clean. I understand this car was a West Coast car, and it made it up to me in Minnesota. You can see the panels are all really straight. I don't know if any body work's been done to make them shine like this, but at least to my eyes they look like they've got zero damage. And yeah, there's a little bit of overspray on the paint in the rear. That happened when I did a two-part epoxy paint for the interior of the car. I don't think it'll show up in the camera here in the video, but you can kind of get a sense of it maybe in the other pictures. I don't have a whole lot of room on the other side, but I'll walk around here. Can kind of going through the body panels. Just really clean. Minor sort of divot here and there, but gosh, otherwise I'm really not seeing much as far as damage here. There's the front quarter. Come pop the engine here. This hood is all black underneath. The paint isn't in the greatest condition, so I put a carbon fiber wrap on top of it, and it's a textured carbon fiber wrap. In fact, it's the same wrap that I have on the fiberglass dash on the inside, and you'll see that in a minute here. So there's the engine bay. Got 88 pistons and a motor that was rebuilt along the way. I pulled the head just to have it checked and had it rebuilt while I had it out. There's the Lindsey fuel rail, so you won't ever have to worry about fuel rail leaks or related engine fires. There's a fire suppression system, and you'll see one of the nozzles for the engine comes up there. The oil cooler is mounted down below. You see that. Most of the ignition systems components are replaced. That's a new coil here, a new cap, new ignition rotor on the inside, and spark plugs and such. New throttle cable, new clutch, master and slave cylinders down below. The electrical box is really clean. I won't give you a tour underneath the car because it's hard to see. You'll see in some of the pictures, but for the most part that's all that's left. And I've removed, I don't know, call it 80% of all wires in the car that don't belong to something. So you'll see that in some of the pictures, especially when I was first rewiring the dash. So let's go on the inside. See, you've got the cutoff switch mounted on the top. That's a new cutoff switch and all new wiring there. I have a spare as well. So if you needed one track side, that's ready to go. Go into the car. You can see the compartment. There's all FIA rated roll bar padding here. This isn't the cheap pool noodle stuff. You can see the remaining bundles of wires here. I rewrapped in what's that stuff called? Friction tape, whatever was left. So they shouldn't move around and should be pretty solid here. Steering wheel. There's a quick release hub. All the gauges. There's a long acre. Is that a long acre? No, Accutech oil pressure gauge, which is nice because you can set up warning lights on it, which I've done. And then otherwise I've got all the sport comp gauges, water and oil temp, and then a push button start. Also you see there a digital fuel gauge and a USB charging port. So if you've got your any devices like your phone, if you're using for a track app or whatever, it's there. And then that blue switch is for, you probably guessed it, the cool suit. The shifter linkage is really smooth. Somebody must have rebuilt it along the way. It has an LSD and a short fifth gear. I haven't felt much of a smoother shifter in any 944 personally. Let me walk around to the other side, and then we will start up the engine. a little bit of a view of the back. Standard stuff. So there is the seat back brace that's just bolted into the cage. It's a Bray Krause. It's quite adjustable, so you shouldn't have any challenges there making it fit you just right. I actually have the seat bolted to the floor. Where I wanted it was actually right where most of the holes were already, but I've got sliders that I'm including in the spares as well, so you could load that up and kind of change it up to suit your height. Alright, so I've got 2 fire extinguishers, 1 spare that you can reach down and grab and get under the car if you need to, and then I've got the fire charger system as well. There's a little bit of a sense of the dash as well from this side. You see that volt gauge. Alright, we're going to run around back to the other side and start it up. By the way, there's the PCA required fuel sender cover that you see there. I've got logbooks for both NASA and PCA. The PCA one is recent. The NASA book goes back a few years, and there's some history of the car there as well that's kind of fun to see. All right, so I'm going to start this up now. Reach in. I've also got the F9 DME relay, so it does a little priming for the fuel pump, which makes starting nice and quick. And in neutral, here we go. So, probably hard to hear me. I'll shut up. You can just listen to the engine as it idles here. There you go, signing off.